Welcome to Shojo and Tell, where we discuss shoujo manga and tell who's hot and who's not, talk about themes, and just generally geek out. Today, April 28th, 2025, we'll be shoujo and telling about volumes 11 through 20 of Snow White with the Red Hair by Sorata Akizuki, or Akizuki. I'm your host, Ashley McDonald, and I'm joined once again by my husbando, Asher Sofman. Hello, Asher.
Hello, Ashley.
Yes, we are back after a longer than I wanted to be break between these two recordings of like 2 months. I'd give the excuse that we had norovirus, but that only accounts for like 10 days of my absence. What was I doing the other time? I don't know, you guys.
You're an adult.
I'm an
living
adult.
In 2025 is really where it went.
It really went, yeah, it sure went somewhere. All right, so that's where we're at. Asher, who are you?
Wow, you don't know? That seems problematic.
I don't know. I have amnesia. We're in an amnesia plot anime.
Oh, no. Well, I'm very cool and smart, and you like me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Glad.
As Ashley said, I am her husband. I am not a manga scholar or have no special credentials in this field, but Snow White with the Red Hair is one of my favorites.
Yep. This set of volumes encapsulates some of Asher's like favorite volume, which I'm sure we will just talk about for 20 minutes from various angles in different ways. You know, it's going to be fun. So yeah, so I do have to give the at the outset a spoiler warning here. It's spoilers all the way down, okay? Because this is about volumes 11 through 20, which admittedly is not. There's more volumes to go. Like, there's currently 26 out, right? Something like that.
I think so.
Yeah,
certainly in English.
Yeah, I think it caught up to the Japanese because there was the hiatus. If not, there's maximum 27 volumes out. So, yeah, we're gonna spoil everything. It's gonna be just all nitty gritty from here. So if you haven't read Snow White with the Red Hair, or you've only watched the anime, this definitely goes past.
Oh, for sure. Where
the anime was. So, you know, maybe give our first episode a listen. Maybe go read
it.
Yeah. I was like, this one, I think actually has a high chance of being stocked by like libraries and things. But otherwise, it's published by Viz Media. You can buy it from our friends at Manga Mart, their family-owned manga shop, online manga shop. And, you know, as always, just don't buy anything, and certainly not books from Amazon. Try to support independent places like Manga Mart. Okay. So seriously, we're gonna spoil all the things now. We're just gonna dive into. So, all right. So here's the spoilers. Spoiler warning for real. I'm gonna try to give a concrete place where we're beginning here and where we're ending, so we all have an anchor in time. Unfortunately, both ends of that are pretty fluffy and not like concrete places. So we are beginning. Volume 11 is a transition volume where we're setting up going to Lilias part 2, but we're not there yet. So volume 11, really the through line is about Zen asking Izana if Shirayuki can live in the palace. And that also means that Mitsuhide, Kiki, and Obi come along as well. And Izana is going to be crowned king within a few months. But I believe that's actually volume 12 is where it happens. But that's what we're setting up in volume 11. Where we end in volume 20 is also a transition volume where we've had the fallout of everything that happens at Sereg, and they're all like recovering. You know, Zen, Mitsuhide, Kiki, and Obi have to recover from an assassination attempt on all of them. And Shirayuki and Ryu are actually preparing for the end of their 2-year stint at Lilias and moving on to the next phase of that, which is going to be trying to convince all the northern territories to adopt their weird glowing hybrid flower so that the north looks prettier and inviting and has lit roads. And
yeah, I was gonna be like, I feel like the major thing is maybe the visibility.
Yay, streetlights. That's what we're working towards. So that is where the bookends of where we are at. So we're just gonna really dive. I'm gonna structure it. I'm gonna try to structure it as we'll dive into each of the plots individually. If there are new characters, we will talk obviously about the new characters. And then we will have more, if we don't bring up themes or whatever, naturally we will discuss those, and we will have a shipping corner in this episode, even though I feel like the whole thing is really going to be a shipping corner, but we'll find out.
I mean, is Snow White with the red hair not a shipping corner?
Just all ships and corners. Truly.
Triangles are the strongest shape.
Triangles are the strongest shape. We have so many of them.
We have so many. Pentagons are pretty strong too.
Cool. Who's the Pentagon?
It's not. That's not really something I ship. I'm just like, there's 5 main characters.
I suppose there are. I don't think. Anything that involves Mitsuhide in a ship apparently doesn't work. So we'll get there. Okay. So yeah. So the big thing. Okay. So yeah. So Zen moves Shirayuki and his crew into the castle. I do love that Izana, Zen just comes to him with this request and is like, I want to tell the world what's up. And Izana was like, wow, making moves without buttering me up first. Bold. I suppose request granted as long as everybody lives in the castle. Also, we know that he's scheming. He's a schemer. He knows what's coming next.
He is never not scheming.
Never not scheming.
But he wanted to respect his brother's daring and was like, all right, okay.
So I think the real incident that stands out to me is, I think last episode we tried to describe the way that Shirayuki will fight you, and I'm sure that we gave perfectly fine examples to that at that time. But the one that happens in this arc is the best, right? Would you like to describe what goes down?
I mean, you're the one that thinks it's the best.
It is the best. You don't agree? Okay.
I feel like she's had several moments, particularly in the front half of I guess it's not really half since there are more than 20 volumes.
I was like, no.
Where she gets to stand up for herself more than, I feel like this is a callback in a way to her being able to have more agency really in her own life.
I feel like this one has more of an audience too, though.
That's true.
Which is
as her world grows, her power, her relative power to it, like, doesn't grow in step with it. I wouldn't say it won't catch up or exceed it, but like, the two things don't grow at the same pace.
Yeah. And we definitely another through line, I think, through all of these volumes is, as Shirayuki moves up in this political world, political game that they're all playing, right? Obi also moves up, becomes a knight and stuff. And Obi has several conversations with Shirayuki where he's like, hey, you really gotta learn the power you actually do have, right? Like you have to embrace what you can do and wield it and let's go, right?
Right.
So they move into the castle, and obviously it's full of noble people who feel their privilege just because they were born into privilege and whatever. And they're like, oh God, this cat-eyed boy, you know, and this red-haired girl who don't deserve to be here are now here. And so Shirayuki and Obi are going to, like, Shirayuki's like, oh, I need to talk to Zen. So they enter, like, whatever, a common, like, study area or whatever, library thing.
I think it was the research room or something. The reference room.
Yes. I was like, some kind of library place.
I don't think Shirayuki even needed to talk to Zen. She just wanted to say hi. On her way to work.
She was just like, we could be cute now. Excellent. Yes, that sounds right, actually. And so Obi does, I think, at this time try to be like, okay, are you ready for, like, the stairs and everything that we're going to get when we walk in here? And Shirayuki's like, sure. You know, like, gotta do it sometime kind of thing. They walk in, and there's this dude who is like, oh, are you looking for Prince Zen? Wouldn't it be easier to lie in bed and wait for him? And I was like, first of all, that's such an escalation for this relatively, like, innocent manga to be like, okay. And so, you know, Shirayuki and Obi both are like, oh, this guy wants to throw down. Okay, like, we can do that. So Shirayuki turns around and is like, oh, hi, I'm Shirayuki. What's your name? And this dude is like, Lord Yuha. And she's like, cool. Hi, Lord Yuha. Can you tell me where Prince Zen is?
No, what she said was, I don't know who you're talking about because I'm here to see Prince Zen.
Oh, yes.
Which was real nice. That was very, such a subtle, like...
10 out of 10.
Yeah. Like, 1, defuses the attack against her. 2, you know, would you say that about your prince?
Would you say that about your prince? He's so good. How dare.
Yeah. And 3, like, you know, isn't backing down.
I wish I was as quick-witted as Shirayuki. Yeah. Then the kill shot comes from Zen, though.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, they find Zen and talk to him, and he's like, oh, I'll walk you a bit of the way to work. And as they're leaving, they pass Lord Yuha again, and Zen turns around and is like, hey, Lord Yuha, yeah, I overheard that conversation. So can you please, if Mitsuhide and Kiki come, can you tell them to just wait here for me? Thank you. Walks away.
And then we never see Lord Yuha again.
No, we do see him one more time.
Oh, that's right.
Somewhere near, yeah. At
ruining a perfect punchline, Lord Yuha.
It's true. But we do see him again a little bit later.
We do.
What is the surrounding this one of the parties? Oh, I guess Izana's court. Yes.
Was it one of the parties even? I just feel like it was the end of a long day and Shirayuki was tired.
Oh, maybe.
And like
there are so many parties.
So many parties, so much work. So like Shirayuki, yeah, I feel like it was the same day. Shirayuki sits down and like falls asleep because she's so tired. And Lord Yuha comes upon her and is like, what? What is wrong with this girl
right now?
And then Obi just like pops up as Obi does. And Lord Yuha is like, what? And then
Obi came in like ready to cut somebody.
Yeah. As he always is.
He doesn't always like look it, you know.
That is true. He is always ready to cut somebody though.
But he is super always ready to cut somebody. So yeah, that was like a little mini arc, is move everybody into the palace Everybody mostly gets to have cute moments, and there's struggle of being like, oh, we don't fit in here, you know? We quickly get moved on to like Izana is crowned king, and just kidding, Shirayuki doesn't get to live in the palace because she has to go back to Lilias with Ryu for 2 years to do further research on the glowing flowers that were toxic. But if we could make them not toxic, that would be good. That could be fun.
Yeah, it was in part for that, and it was also to it's a study abroad, technically. Maybe not abroad. They don't leave the country. But it's because Lilias is the city of academics, and Chief Garrick wants them to be the best herbalists they can. So she sends them both up north, and Izana's like, great, I love it. Get him out of here.
Yeah. Izana's like, yes, this is what you're good at, right? This is how you will benefit my kingdom here. Good. Go. You know? There is some consternation because Zen is the last to know.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else is like, oh, I gotta tell Zen. And Shirayuki eventually just kind of like blurts it out at a not great moment.
Because if she didn't tell him then, when would she have had a chance?
On the day that she leaves, she'd be like, so Zen.
Oh my god.
So Zen, did your brother tell you? No? That's cool. I'm glad that my boy is now king. Yes, let's go. He's so good. I love him. But we should talk about, we do get to see their mom for the first time in any series.
Yes.
Haruto
Wisteria,
which you pointed out the other day. You're like, oh, is it heart?
I don't think so, because that's not normally how you would romanize heart in Japanese, but you could.
You could. I keep being like, are we going to ever get a backstory about like their dad?
We haven't yet, to my knowledge.
I know. We're very deep in it.
There is a probably a small contingent of the fandom that believes that he was like an evil or like, you know, mentally ill king, and that's why Zen had to grow up like building a resistance to poisons and stuff because everybody hated this guy. But I
thought Zen chose to do that on his own.
Oh, I don't think so. He was little.
Did Izana have to do it too then?
I assume he did. But Shirayuki didn't get shown that medical history.
Yeah. Izana says no.
But yeah, there's no textual evidence of that at all. It's an interesting theory.
It's an interesting theory also because I'm like, I guess I do find Haruto weird, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because after their death, so the story goes that after their dad died, she developed a quote unquote palace allergy.
Right.
And could no longer tolerate being at the palace and like overworking and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
So she goes to Wyrant Castle, which is in the north, and has basically just been there the whole time and, you know, has been doing her queenly duties from there and is now choosing to make Izana king, but she'll stay in Wyrant. And I guess I had interpreted that as she really loved the old king, but either way, I find it weird.
It's weird. I think that, you know, you can interpret that however you want, but the kingdom of Clarinus does not feel like that to me. Like it had a really bad king not that long ago.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's clearly got, you know, several instabilities, as I think any feudal kingdom would.
I was like, clearly Izana feels that something needs to be improved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of there's a lot of power struggles. That's been a running theme throughout. But the kingdom itself seems generally pretty healthy. I guess there is a running slavery and bandit problem, which, that's not great.
Yeah. I guess I don't know. We haven't been. It doesn't seem like it's doing better or worse than like Tamburun, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
their dad's name was Kane, which okay.
Yes. I don't know that you can tell anything about anybody's name in this series.
I can tell everything about Izana from the name Izana.
Okay, maybe. But I feel like he's the only one.
Zen? Zen's pretty zen.
Really? I don't know.
Mitsuhide, it sounds stupid. He's stupid.
No, the best part about Mitsuhide's name is his last name is Lowen.
Lowen.
Or Lewin. I don't actually know how to pronounce anybody's last name.
Lowen. Seiran.
Yeah, that one seems perfectly pronounceable.
Yes. Okay, well, and then we also get some brief glimpses of Haki, who we were, again, even more briefly introduced to in the first Lilias arc. And Akizuki feels no need to refresh your memory or explain herself about Haki's presence. She's like, keep up or don't. And I'm like, I'm only keeping up upon a reread and asking Asher questions. Thank you.
Haki, for those who don't know, is the sister of the guy who's the current head of one of the noble families in the north. They run Lilias, right? They run the Lilias checkpoint.
Yeah, I was like, I think they just run the Lilias checkpoint.
Yeah, so like they're the noble family in charge of that land. And she's Izana's to-be bride. Unclear if they are actually engaged or not. But
yeah.
the implication is that they are gonna get married.
She like, he doesn't explain it to anybody. She's just there when they're all like, okay, Izana is king now. Let's go outside and greet everybody as a royal family. And she's there. So it's like,
yeah,
Izana doing Izana things.
No engagement announcement clearly no engagement announcement has been made. But, as the readers, we're all like, yeah, obviously.
I mean, people in town were also like, yeah, okay.
Yes. But, these things do matter.
Yeah. Izana's just playing his Izana games.
Yeah. For why? Keep people on their toes.
Yeah. And it is Haki is weird too.
I think the lesson you're supposed to take is nobles are weird.
Maybe. I think Haki, I can't fully explain why Haki's weird because some of it is informed by even further volumes, I think.
Yeah.
The one true interaction we really get here of her talking to Izana is her being like, hey, Izana, like, why is your hair so long, basically? I think you would look good with short hair, like Zen's hair. And he was like, oh, do you like short hair? And she's like, what I like is private. I just think it would make you look softer. And Izana's like, oh, are you saying there's nothing soft about me? Good, great. That's how I like.
Right.
And it's like, what a strange little interaction.
Yes. She's a funny one. And like, I do think you have to be a little bit in your own world in order to defend yourself against Izana.
Yes. Defending against Izana is near impossible. So sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the people that he doesn't know how to, pull around by the strings are the people that are a little beyond his. They're just weird. They're in their own world.
Weird.
Obi.
Yeah.
Kiki, he doesn't try to mess with.
The Zens and the Mitsuhides, they just leave themselves open.
They do. The Shirayukis.
The Shirayukis. Shirayuki is like a very mid case.
Yes.
Between the two.
He can get at her, but she doesn't like get devastated.
Yeah, she's like, I will fight back.
Yeah. She is not Mitsuhide.
No.
Oh gosh.
I do have to say that my favorite moment in this little mini arc is that we do get to go, like, you know, Izana and Zen get to have more talks in the lead up to the coronation, because Zen is the one who has to actually put the crown on his head and all that good stuff. And so they have a little reminiscing session at one point, and Izana, like, they're talking about, I guess, again, Haruto coming and the death of their dad and like all these things. And so Izana's like, I remember when, I think he's trying to test Zen too. Like, he's like, I'm becoming the king, but like, kind of don't forget that you're also a prince still, and all this stuff, right? And so he's like, Izana's like, I remember just after our dad died and like our mom moved away to the north or whatever. And you were a big old crybaby and had to sleep in my room. And, you know, you would get upset because you felt like I was doing like a lot better than you at being a prince. And he's like, well, first of all, I was a lot older than you. But second of all, you know, I asked you if you felt that I had something that you lack. And Zen said yes. And Izana actually replied with something, you know, very Izana, but like semi-nice, where he was like, okay, then it's not something that you need. Mm-hmm. And you have your own strength that you have to go find. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. And then Zen was like, what are they? And Izana was like, I don't know, man.
Izana
figure
was
it
like,
out.
You have to figure it out. And then Izana was like, and then after that, you became a moody little brat.
You weren't cute anymore.
You were so annoying. So good. I love them. And then, you know, they have all these cute moments and he's king, and then he's like, yep, Shirayuki and Ryu are going to the north for 2 years. Aw, sad.
Sad.
Zen is like, brother. How dare. So that brings us to Lilias round 2, which, okay. The first time I read this, okay, I maintain that it is still volume 15 in particular, where it really hones in on them trying to figure out the science behind how they're going to make this flower work without the toxin and with enough light. Because the basic science that we are given is that, again, this flower emits a beautiful light, and it's just a pretty flower, and it's actually fairly bright, the light, but it's toxic. I think it's toxic when what are the conditions where the toxins come out? Water and like heat or something? Yeah.
I think it's primarily heat, actually. The problem was it was getting in the water.
Right, and then it's spreading. Right. Yes. So they're like, okay, so we figured out how to get rid of the toxin, but then that reduces the brightness by like 80%. So then that makes the whole point worthless, basically, because it's not bright enough. So they're like, we have to figure out how to, you know, either increase the light or figure out some other way. And then they learn about glowing rocks. And they're like, well, maybe if we study some mineralogy, like we go adjacent to what we're looking at, we can figure out a solution to this. And there's just a whole volume of like explaining the science and them doing their science experiments, and maybe for somebody that's really fun and cool, and that somebody is not me. I'm like, oh my god, shut up. The first time I read it, I was like, I hated it very much. I was infuriated by this volume. The second time I was like, okay, you know what? I am more invested in these people, and I can follow the science better the second time around. So I don't hate it as much, but I do think it is still quite boring compared to the rest of the manga.
And it must have been real hard to get through it chapter by chapter as it was coming out.
Oh man. Gosh.
Not so bad in a volume.
Well, Akizuki had an author's note where she was like, so I thought that like the actual science part of this arc, right? Like there's other volumes surrounding it that involve, you know, they time skip to a year ahead when they've solved it and like figuring stuff out and trying to figure out the next phase. You know, like there's other things. There's just this one volume that's really steeped in it that I think she was specifically talking about, where she was like, so I thought that this was gonna take like max 3 chapters. And I was very wrong, you know? And it's like, ooh, did you have to be though? You know? Could we have condensed this? Like one of the chapters opens with like a spread trying to explain the science, and I'm like, you're making it worse, you know? You're definitely making it worse. So I think we should talk about new characters first, actually. So
sure. Let's
actually talk about the 2 that don't matter first. So for some reason, when Ryu and not Obi, he's not initially there. When Ryu and Shirayuki return to Lilias, you know, we had already been introduced to a bunch of researchers the first time we were there, like Shiden, Suzu, Yuzuri. Were all already established characters, but I guess Akizuki was like, okay, they're gonna be there for several volumes and we need a larger research team. So she introduces this dude named Kazuha, and like honestly, I don't even remember the girl's name.
I want to say her name is Izuru, but I'm not 100% sure about that because they genuinely don't matter.
They don't matter, but we spent this like chapter introducing them and they were weird and wacky. Like Kazuha was like, Shirayuki arm wrestled me. Like,
yeah, that happened.
And then that gets called back to in a later it's like, what? And honestly, the reason that I particularly don't like them is because they don't look like they belong in this manga to me. They look like they belong in Bleach. Like the girl in particular looks like one of the 2 main girls in the Bleach spinoff called Burn the Witch. Like she looks like the black-haired girl in that. Like what is this? Who are they? Why are they here? Go away. Like the reason we don't know the girl's name is because it's mentioned like once and then never brought up again. Maybe like one other time. Kazuha, they like some people keep mentioning him, so you're like, okay, I guess I know your name now. Like, whatever. But the main dude that we're introduced to is Rata. Would you like to explain Rata to people?
Sure. Rata Forzeno, whose last
Rata
name
Forzeno,
yes, whose last name for years and years in my head has always been Forenzo, even though that has never actually been his last name. It has always been Forzeno. Is a nerd.
He sure is.
He sure is. He is a low-ranking noble who his backstory is at one point he was a knight. He served with I think he served at Sereg, did he not? No.
I don't
know. He served up north. You know what? It doesn't matter. He was a knight, and then he was like, you know what? I hate this, and quit being a knight to go indulge his special interest in wonder rocks, which are the magic glowing rocks, or they produce heat, or they do any other like number of weird things.
Yes.
But most of those things are thought to have very little utility. But because he is a noble and has some money, he can do what he wants.
He's a noble and he's in it for the science, not the practicality.
Right, exactly. And a little bit because they're pretty. He made some jewelry.
Yeah.
But primarily he just thinks the rocks are cool. Which, you know what? I get that. Anyway, he like purposely made himself obnoxious to all the other researchers by playing up being a noble in a way that he doesn't actually like. And so managed.
He's a misanthrope.
He is like legit a misanthrope, and managed to spend the last 15 years being a lone researcher in his lab with his rocks and has no friends. And honestly, he's kind of a delight. He's probably about the same age as Marquis Haruka. Maybe a little younger.
They have the same lines under their eyes.
Right. Like the point is, he is older than our crew.
Yes.
We have a new uncle.
Yeah.
His name is Rata, and he doesn't want to be here.
He does not want to be here. So much so that he realized they were coming after him, like Obi and Shirayuki and Ryu and whatever, all the researchers really were looking for him, and he kept eluding them. And then the only way that Obi and Shirayuki actually finally got to meet him face to face was that because he's a noble, they invited him to a soiree.
Yeah, they got Zen to do it. So they did make use of their connections.
Yes. They played the political game and they won, much against Rata's will.
Yeah.
Like they felt bad about it. You know?
They were like, "Oh, you must hate this party," and he was like, "Yeah,
I do hate this party." And they were like, "Sorry."
Sorry, but we wouldn't have had to do this if you hadn't run away.
You just let us talk to you in Lilias. And then he shares a nice little dance with Shirayuki, and he purposely fumbles his footwork so that she steps on him and then leaves.
Which apparently is a trick Mitsuhide pulls often as well.
Yes. Okay. So in addition to adding a misanthropic uncle to the story, I think a lot of this arc is setting up a new little trio and how they work, right? So it's like Obi is our cheerleader assassin, as I wrote in my notes. Shirayuki is the tryhard, and Ryu is our autistic genius. And like, you know, we're not used to them being a trio, but here they are. Trying to figure out how to work together. Mostly Obi's just falling in love with Shirayuki. That's good.
Yeah. And I mean, they've had close ties already. Like all of them like each other, but this is the first time they've worked. The three of them have worked together. Oh, yeah. Obviously, Ryu and Shirayuki and Obi have been working together for a long time in a different way.
Yeah. I was going to say the funny part about them tricking Rata into it when they first met Rata is that Rata like knew about Shirayuki and Ryu. So he mistakes Obi for Ryu. And then Obi has to be like, nah, I'm not an herbalist. I'm a knight. And Rata's like, no. No, you're not. And Obi's like, you want to see my ID tag? Rata's like, no, I don't.
Obi spends quite a lot of time in these volumes being like, you want to see this? You want to see that? And everyone being like, no.
No. He's so good.
He's the best.
Yes. So I do think that my favorite, well, I actually have a lot of favorite moments from the soiree part of this arc in particular. But, you know, gotta talk about my boy Izana some more. So the setup is that Shirayuki and Obi have come back after like 4 months in Lilias for the soiree, which is still part of their work at Lilias because they've tricked Rata into coming. But of course, Zen and Shirayuki are so excited to see each other. And of course, Izana is like, don't get too excited, children. So Izana like runs into Shirayuki or something and is like, hey girl, hey. How's the North treating you? And Shirayuki gives a passable answer that's neither I love it nor like I hate it, doesn't want to lean one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And Zen is also like there, and Izana's like, have some chocolate, my little friends. And then Zen stupidly trustingly, he's so trustingly eats a chocolate and then is like, oh my god, that had some strong alcohol in it. No, don't give it to Shirayuki. And Izana's like, no, hers is just chocolate. Hers is just chocolate. Just you get drunk. And that's all well and good, Izana trolling. But then Izana goes and runs into all of Zen's little aides. But he only acknowledges Mitsuhide because, as established before, he will not mess with Obi or Kiki. But he's like, hey, Mitsuhide, can you go check on Zen and Shirayuki? I left them in his room. And Mitsuhide is like, oh, well, but I mean, they've missed each other and it's midnight, so I think we can leave them alone, right? And Izana's like, that's exactly why we cannot leave them alone. Basically.
He's so mean to Mitsuhide.
And so then Mitsuhide is like, okay, guys, I guess we have to go check on them. And Kiki and Obi are like, no, he didn't tell us to do it. He told you to do it. Like, no, son. We're not getting in Zen's bad graces here. No, you, only you. And it's just so good. Mwah. Chef's kiss.
Oh man. Poor Mitsuhide. He is tortured through these volumes.
He deserves it. No. He deserves it. And if all of you are like, you're skipping over all the cute moments, I told you we're gonna do shipping corner, okay? They're coming. Okay. So the next arc. So again, there's a soiree. We get Rata to join the team. Then there's more science. Like a lot of science happens. Experiments with putting flower seeds in rocks. So many experiments. And then there's a time skip where we go a year ahead and they've like successfully done the thing. They figured out the right heat to it was something about like it's actually the like you have to make it hot and then cold or something in the right ratios.
I mean, do you really want me to explain it?
No.
Okay.
I don't. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But after reading this arc like 5 times, I think I've got it.
Okay, you want to explain it?
It really doesn't matter, but there's 3 components, right? There's 2 wonder rocks and the seed. And the seed needs to be exposed to heat and to cold in order to increase the light output.
Right.
But it can't grow in the rock.
Right.
The 2 rocks, one creates heat on its own and the other will continue to, it makes the heat last. So you have to carve one rock down to just its core so that the hot part will be in contact with the rock that makes it last. You melt the rock that makes it last so that you can embed that core into the durability rock, I guess. And then as it starts to crystallize, you want the seed right in at the top so that it will be exposed at the top to the cold air of Lilias,
Right.
and it'll be warm in the bottom. But then you need to be able to extract the seed so that it can grow in the ground
Right.
instead of in the rock.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to get the right coating on the seed. And I think it was at least 1 or 2 steps too many steps.
Okay, you know what? Okay, personal story. I think I hated this arc less and understood it more because I've been reading a lot of stuff about the science behind plastics. And to be clear, I often don't understand most of what I read about the actual science behind plastics, right? Like, there will be different points of it that I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I really like that. But then, like, the other 80 or 90%, I'm like, this is lost on me. I don't understand. I'm not a scientist, right?
Right.
But I think that has overall helped me be like, you know what? The science felt like both a little bit simplistic, but like somewhat realistic. And I was like, I appreciate you, you know?
Right. It's like real science is this difficult and tedious.
Yes.
It's so fiddly.
It's so fiddly. And often it does just come from like you accidentally put a thing with another thing and it caused a reaction. And you're like, oh, I don't exactly know how that's going to be useful, but it seemed fun. Let me try to replicate it and like figure out what it actually did and why and what use it can have. Like, that's what I've mostly learned from reading a book about the history of plastic and like a million one-off articles about the science of plastics. So I was like, I don't emotionally appreciate this arc mostly. I do I'm like intellectually, I'm like, okay, you know what? I see you, Akizuki, and good for you. So all that's happening. That's with our Lilias crew. Then we kind of like still moving forward in time, but we shift back to our palace crew, which is, you know, Zen, Mitsuhide, Kiki. And so Izana has been like, hey, I need you to go to Sereg, which is a military base in the north. And Zen is like, cool. Why? But of course, Izana does not tell him why. And they have to deduce why for themselves. So it becomes clear pretty quickly. There are multiple steps of this where I think there might have been one misdirect too many. Whatever. Okay. So we get to Sereg, and the captain up there is like, oh, we have these 2 new recruits who are actually from a royal family or a noble family that has a lot of power in the north, like used to control half of the north, but has kind of been absorbed, you know, into the Wisteria sphere of power. And they're like, well, they're hiding their identities from the rest of the normal crew because they don't want them to treat them differently. Like the cover story is they were getting treated too lightly for being cool nobles. And they're like, no, we want to treat them the same, right? So they're getting covered up. So then they learn that there are a bunch of assassinations or attempts happening. And they figure out the connection between all of them is that they're all suitors for Kiki. And then they're like, what, why would somebody be targeting suitors for Kiki? And it turns out that the older brother of these 2 twin brothers who are at the base really just wants to take out Kiki and Mitsuhide and install his 2 twin brothers in their place. Or at least that's what they think he wants to do. Turns out he really just wants to kill all of them and take back control of the north, including Zen.
Yeah, I mean, I think he
initially
was his original.
That was his plan, but then he was like, my twin brothers are incompetent and messing it up, so I have to take more drastic measures. So it becomes an assassination plot against not just Kiki and Mitsuhide, because initially Mitsuhide is accused of being the one behind the plot because there are so many rumors of him wanting to marry Kiki. But he's not noble or whatever. So they're like, we think it's a jealousy plot arranged by Mitsuhide. So Mitsuhide gets thrown in jail. Hisame actually proposes to Kiki, but again, not like for real, but more as a like, I want an assassination attempt against me to draw out our enemies or whatever. Which kind of works, I guess. He sure does get shot. And so the two younger brothers are actually not very bad. They're trying to kill their older brother because they know that he's super evil and they hate it. And everybody gets hurt. Everybody is damaged here, including Shirayuki, even though she's not here, right? That's part of why. She knows everybody else is damaged. Okay. So we should talk more about these new characters. And
Totes.
Hisame is not a new character, but we only brought him up briefly last time, so we get a little bit more here. So Saruba and Tariga are the two twin brothers. This is the Bergat family. I realize I never actually said their name. Stupid.
Yes. So to be clear, there's three brothers. There's the older brother, Toka, who sucks. And then there are the twins, Tsuruba, who is the older twin, and Tariga, who is the younger twin. I'm pretty sure.
And they know that their brother sucks. Their older brother sucks. And want to kill him.
Yeah, he murdered their dad.
Yeah. He's a murderer. And a manipulator. He pretended to be against his dad and like on the side of like a supporter of the Wisteria royal family. But actually, he only did that so that those royal supporters would have nobody to lead them or back them once he showed his true colors. I assume it was also so that he could get in the good graces of Haruto.
Oh, probably. I mean, he's like all our other manipulative characters and never does anything for just one reason. Has like 5 backup plans for his backup plan.
Yeah. And so Tsuruba and Tariga like are immediately suspicious, to be honest. Like it's like,
they're
it's
introduced
them.
in a suspicious way.
Yeah, like you kind of come into this arc and you're like, okay, you're trying to make me believe that there could be possibly other people that aren't the Bergats who are doing this, and it's not working. Like, it's super obvious they're doing it, But it's also pretty obvious that Tsuruba and Tariga like really want to be good boys. They just are in a cycle of abuse that they can't figure out how to get out of.
Yeah.
Other than to murder their brother, which they feel powerless to do, to be honest.
They do try, kinda.
Kind of. They super fail at it.
They are not good at murder.
No. Tariga's attempt to murder Toka leads to Toka having access to Zen and stuff. So it's like it's not great.
No.
And Toka is like comedically evil,
But not even in a fun way.
Not in a fun way. He's just really evil.
It's like Hisame was comedically villainous when we're first introduced to him, right? In a way, Izana is comedically villainous when we're first introduced to him.
Yes.
But Toka's just like straight up, you don't like this guy.
Oh, you're just evil. like maniacal laugh evil, but like you're serious about it. Oh, okay. Like, yeah, we don't like that guy. So yeah, so Hisame is here. He's really the kind of the most important one. You maintain. Okay, you keep saying that Hisame is evil, but I'm like, what is his aim? His one aim was to marry Kiki, which is still his aim.
Right. Well, that's no longer his evil aim. That was a good aim this time. No, Hisame only wanted to marry Kiki in the first place in order to, well, we don't know for sure, but we were led to believe that he had a chip on his shoulder about being he's the second son, right? He's not in line for his own house.
Right.
He's not the successor to his own house. And if he marries Kiki, he would be, at least part of that unit. Yeah. I think she's an only child, and she's certainly the firstborn anyway. And her dad was raising her to be the leader of the county, I guess, of Seiran. So it seemed like a power move. It didn't seem like he was interested in Kiki, although I think he was, because he knew her before.
Yeah, I think he was behaving in a very teenage boy way about it.
Yeah. a teenage boy who really thought that girls love bad boys,
Yeah, exactly. And so Hisame is definitely visually coded evil.
Yes, which is so fun.
It's so fun. He has his weird black hair and cat eyes and his one earring or whatever. No, he wears 2 earrings, doesn't he? Everybody else wears one.
I think. Yeah, I guess I've got the volumes here. I could look.
You have all the volumes. That's right.
Where are you, Hisame? Toka has 2 earrings.
He sure does. He sure does. I think Hisame does too.
He probably does. I think Kiki had 2 earrings in that introduction of his. Where are you,
right.
Hisame?
Then we get a story about why she only has 1 now.
Right.
How are you failing to find Hisame?
I found him. He has 2 earrings.
He has 2 earrings. He's just always dressed in black. And the way that Asher and I describe, like, again, I don't think he actually has any nefarious aim. I do think he has a chip on his shoulder because he's like, it's not that he's stupid or not strong or anything. It's just that he is at least second to everyone, right?
Yeah.
And so he kind of deals with that by being a twat.
Yeah. He is the best at antagonizing people.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he does like it. And like, he knows he behaved badly as a teenager, and I think now he's kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, I was I don't know that I think he kind of likes it, but I think he also has that part of him that wishes people genuinely saw like that he's not that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I think that's why he likes the way Kiki treats him as time has gone on. Because Kiki does just like genuinely seem happy to see him most of the time.
Yeah.
While Mitsuhide, I think he likes that he can always predict Mitsuhide's reaction to him. And he's like, I love needling this guy. Who doesn't love needling Mitsuhide?
I know, that's easy.
Yeah, yeah. And like, again, Zen also makes it easy. So he needles Zen too. And he loves popping up and surprising people and making people scared of him. But I think it also makes him feel bad a little bit. I do agree.
Yeah, I was like, I think, especially in this arc, he did genuinely nice thing. Like the first time he popped up, he was actually at the soiree.
Right.
And Shirayuki and Obi, got stuck talking to a bunch of nobles that they didn't actually care about at all or want to be talking to. And so Hisame comes and is like, oh, Prince Zen is looking for you or something, right? And just diverts it. And they're like, oh, Prince Zen is looking for us? And he's like, yeah, that was a lie. I just knew you didn't want to be talking to them or whatever. And then Mitsuhide comes and quickly breaks it up. And so Hisame is like, okay, well, bye. You know?
Yeah. No, he genuinely wants to be friends with Mitsuhide.
Yeah, he released Mitsuhide from jail so that he could go help Zen not get murdered.
Right.
What else? I don't know. He was a nice guy in this arc.
Yeah. He does like pop up behind somebody from Sereg at the festival, and they were like, ah.
Oh yeah.
So he is a troll.
No, he's such a because the dude from so there's a festival in Kiki's father's county or whatever. And so this dude from Sereg is like, I thought I saw the vice captain, which is Hisame, like wandering around, not in uniform. And Kiki was like, yeah, he's here. And then Hisame is like, yeah, it was me, just like right behind him. Dude just like freaks out.
He just, in a way, it's like Obi. Like, he looks so shady.
Yeah.
And he is. He is, but kind of not because he wants to be.
Yeah.
He's also like genuinely, he's a guy that, because he can read people pretty well, he can either be a troll, which he usually defaults to because it's what's expected of him.
Yeah.
Or he can be very perceptive and helpful. And sometimes those two things are the same thing.
Yeah. I feel like, okay, my problem with Hisame is more just that, like, again, Akizuki did the thing where she was like, keep up or don't. And I'm like, I don't know that you should do that for like a major character kind of thing. Like, again, his introduction to us is like that flashback is nonsense without reading further and knowing who he is, right? Like, having already downloaded some information about him in the present time. And just like, I still feel like he's not given enough.
He'll get a little more later.
He'll keep getting more, but it just feels like,
yeah.
Because I honestly feel like he should be relatable to me.
I see. You say that. I feel like it's less a problem of keep up and no. Okay. I do think that we don't have quite enough material to really make sense of the turnaround between the flashback and I think then the next time we meet him and then these appearances.
Yeah.
But I think rather than a problem of keep up or don't, it's that Akizuki will introduce a character meaning for them to be like a one-off or the villain or whatever, and then reuses them later in a different role and doesn't always make like a big switch happens. And it's like they're still recognizably the same character.
Yeah. Which
I think is impressive, given some of the turnarounds she has had characters make. Raj.
Yeah.
So I think it's less that she planned for a character to be important and doesn't fill it in for us, and more like, oh, I'm going to reuse this character.
Okay. We're going to put a pin in that because I feel like that's important for the next arc / shipping corner.
Okay.
So this assassination arc is like a lot darker and more serious than most arcs in this manga. And I do have to say that reading it I don't think this was true the first time, but reading it the second time, I was like, the end of the arc. So like volume 18, where they're either in the midst of the fight or just after all the fighting, I was like, I am almost crying. Like in multiple Oh no. So here are the particular points.
Please go ahead.
So Zen is fighting Toka, actually with Tariga, and like a couple other soldiers, I think, are there. Tariga and Zen have inhaled poison and then took a stimulant, which I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe that worked for them. Maybe I don't think it did.
I think
it was a different
Zen
poison.
thought it was. Yeah, Zen thought it was a sedative, and then Toko later was like, "It's not a sedative; it's poison."
Yeah. So like basically, they're a little messed up, and there are other assassins. Like there are hired assassins there, not just fighting Toka, right? Like even if they were a little messed up, I think they could have taken one man. But it's like he has a bunch of other hired assassins running around and protecting him as well. So Zen is fighting legit Toka, and Toka slashes at him, and Zen loses his sword and gets a little cut on his cheek, but mostly manages to dodge the blow. But you're like, this isn't great. Zen does not have a weapon anymore, and Toka totally still has his weapon.
Yes.
But at this moment, Kiki and Mitsuhide do manage to come and rescue Zen. And I don't know, that made me emotional.
After we have spent almost 20 volumes with these characters at that point. We've spent years and years with these characters. And they love each other so much. That is the whole reason we keep coming back to Snow White with the red hair.
Yeah.
They love each other. They protect each other. They help each other grow. They understand what makes one another strong. It's good. It's good.
It's good. So I was like, oh, we'll protect him. Like, Mitsuhide is so messed up now. Oh. Okay, so then there is a very brief moment where we are shown, after everybody is okay, everybody gets hurt in a psychological or physical ways, or both.
Mitsuhide.
Both Mitsuhide for sure. But after it's determined that everybody is mostly okay, and we've made it through, we've arrested Toka, like we get a scene of like Izana getting informed about everything that went down. And again, Izana sent Zen kind of knowing what was going on. Like he had a reason for sending Zen, and he chose not to explain anything to Zen because like earlier in the arc we get Izana talking to his advisors like Haruka, and I always forget his name.
Sakura?
Yeah, Sakura. So he's like talking to Sakura and Haruka, I think, and being like, Zen is so good at assessing people. Like his reports are so good. And they again praise like Kiki and Mitsuhide too. They're like, it's because he also has really good aids and like right. And so after the fallout, we get this little glimpse of Izana hearing the report, and he just looks so mad sad, right? And I'm like, okay, I am actually curious. I think, obviously Izana is mad. Somebody tried to kill his brother. We already saw another arc like that where he was mad and showed up to save his brother, which he could not or did not do this time. I'm like, he probably feels sad because this attempt was even more severe than that other one that Izana came and rescued Zen from. And then I'm like, but does he feel guilt too? Like,
yeah,
because the situation escaped him.
Yeah. He's not a stone.
Yeah, you're like, he cares.
He cares. He loves his brother.
Oh,
he loves his brother. He trusts him, which I don't think you can say about too many people in Izana's life. Or, I mean, we might be able to say, like, he might have more people he trusts than we see, right? This story's not about him.
Right. I've gathered that he trusts Haruka and like Sakura and stuff, even though we don't see them that often.
Yeah. He trusts, I would say he probably trusts Haki. He probably trusts Haruto. And I think there is a special relationship between brothers, particularly with their dad gone and their mom away for so long.
What I'm saying is that one panel made me tear up because I'm like, Izana cares.
Of course he cares. That's his baby brother.
I love him. Okay, so then, again, after this whole fallout, Zen actually goes to Izana and is like, I would like you to keep it a secret that the Bergats tried to murder me. Because I see potential. I see the potential for great goodness within Saruba and Tariga in particular. And so Izana actually does not immediately be like, okay. He's like, I will take what you have said, into consideration, basically. So I think he does kind of maybe like, I guess he does keep that secret because Saruba and Tariga get to keep like noble titles, but they are under surveillance or something, is what it said.
Yeah. They're also separated for the first time in their lives.
Yeah.
Like, not by a huge distance, but Saruba is at House Bergat and Tariga is at Wyrant Castle.
Yeah, so then Saruba and Tariga have a conversation with Zen where they're like, we are going to try, without fail, we will, be protectors of the North and be good stewards. And Zen is like, no, you will fail. You will fail. And the key is that you have to actually go make friends and allies that will tell you when and how you failed so that you can stop failing so hard in the future. And I was like, oh, realistic expectations. And then finally, so Obi came also to get damaged. Even though he was supposed to be protecting, his main full-time job right now is protecting Shirayuki, but they replaced him with some other knight
Shikito.
Shikito. But so finally Shirayuki gets to reunite with the four of them at the castle, and it was, it's like, okay, that's going to be an emotional reunion. But Zen and Shirayuki finally seeing each other, and seeing Zen be able to release his feelings was actually really like, I was like, again, that's very realistic. Is like Zen was holding it together because he felt he had to, right? Like, he's like, my aides all got hurt. I want to protect Saruba and Tariga. Like, I have these responsibilities. I must do them. But then when he sees Shirayuki, he's like, okay, I can finally think about how I almost died, and that terrifies me, and I'm really upset. And like, it's a relief to see you,
Yeah. And also, like, there was a moment before their reunion where Zen had like a second to himself, which Zen doesn't get a lot of those to begin with. But like, at some point he has a moment and he just like reaches out to nothing, right? Thinking about how Shirayuki way back when took his hand. Like, I think the central metaphor for their relationship is that Shirayuki took his hand. Right. Usually, that's not how it goes for him. Like, he takes others' hands.
Right.
But she took his. And when they see each other again, and she actually is there to physically take his hand, like, I felt it this time, man.
Oh. Yeah. And to be clear, it's not like Shirayuki in this situation feels like she also necessarily has to exclusively hold Zen up. Like, she is also upset and is like,
no,
you almost died. I too am crying,
Yeah. No. But we don't often see Zen cry.
No, yeah, exactly.
We see Shirayuki cry.
Yeah, we see, yeah, she's a girl.
Which, like, no, it's not even that she cries easily.
No.
It's just she gets to cry.
Yeah. And so that's why I was like, oh, oh, it's so sad. Zen has to cry because he almost got murdered. Like,
and he wanted to see her this whole time. It's worth remembering that this volume is taking place after a year and a half of separation.
yeah.
And they in that time, they only saw each other twice.
Yeah. So volume 18 is very good.
Yeah.
After
yeah.
volume 15 is very boring. Volume 18, very good.
Yes.
And then we roll on to our final arc, which is Kiki proposes to Mitsuhide and is rejected.
Yep.
I maintain that I'm like, does Kiki propose to Mitsuhide? Mitsuhide. Okay. So Mitsuhide is really messed up from the Sereg arc because he's like, I had my sword taken away. I was thrown in jail. And then Zen almost died. Protecting Zen is my one true, like, everything. Like, life goal, desire, need in life, whatever. So Mitsuhide is like thinking deeply about things finally. And he's the one who finally realizes, he goes to Kiki and is like, hey, Kiki, that dude that you want to propose to, is it me? And Kiki's like, yes. Oh, you finally figured it out, right?
Right.
And Mitsuhide's like, oh, wait, I got stuff to say then. And she's like, no, not before I say my stuff. Which, honestly, she didn't say a lot. She was just like, I love you and feel that we should be together. And I was like, you don't have anything else?
She's not that kind of girl.
I know, but I was like, you could try writing this one time. Like,
she's not that kind of girl, and probably Mitsuhide wouldn't have appreciated it, really.
I don't care what.
Oh, you wanted more from Kiki for your own shipper heart.
Well, also Mitsuhide's rejection is dirty.
True.
So Mitsuhide fumbles around and is like, oh, well, no, I love you too, but not like that.
Yeah.
Marrying you would be like marrying Zen.
To which she makes a great face.
Uh-huh. She's like,
Zen also makes a great face to it later.
Yes. And so, like, we have a chapter of that, and then he feels stupid, and Kiki's, like, kind of annoyed. And so then she has to get rejected again. Like, he comes back and is like, let me try again. And she's like, oh, you're asking me to get rejected again. He's like, no, well, yes, but can you just let me finish, girl? And she's like, proceed.
He really does make it worse.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
he makes it worse, but he also like does make it more real, I guess.
Yes.
Like lays his actual feelings out. Still not super fair to Kiki. None of that was fair to Kiki.
No. Okay, so you mentioned earlier with Hisame, who has been hinted to be a contender for Kiki's hand this whole time.
Yes.
But you were just like, you don't think Akizuki intended Hisame to actually be real, which implies that you think she intended the whole time to actually have Kiki and Mitsuhide be a romantic couple.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think that the Mitsuhide-Kiki partnership, pair, or whatever, has been established at this point for how many years did we calculate it? 11 years?
I'm still going to put it at 10 because are they really prominent in volume 1? Like,
okay, fine. I think that a lot of people, when they see that sort of, oh, these two, the sword and shield, even if you don't know how they interact, are going to be like, oh yeah, it's Jessie and James from Pokemon. Like, obviously they're a couple, which you can make arguments about Jessie and James from Pokemon. But like, you know, it's like, oh,
I thought they were gay now.
It doesn't mean that they can't be together. Anyway, I think that there's so much like assumption within the series, like among characters, that Mitsuhide and Kiki are endgame. You know, like Obi asks if they're going to get engaged. other people, like, you know, in this arc we were just talking about, everyone's like, yeah, Mitsuhide's jealous and that's why he's killing all her suitors or trying to have all her suitors killed. Like, it's just whatever they are is so long established and so easily read as romantic love that to subvert that expectation is a very bold move. I don't know that Akizuki meant, when she first introduced Hisame, that she meant for him to be, well, A, to come back, B, to be a good guy, and C, to be a contender for Kiki's actual heart. I don't really know if she plans that far in advance.
I thought we actually thought she did, because isn't Kiki wearing the earrings that Hisame gave her?
She is. Although, do we know at this point that he gave her those earrings?
Timelines are all getting whack in my head.
Yeah, is that like, we either find that out in like volume 10, which we didn't read for this part, or we read it like in a 20 plus
that's what I'm trying to remember. I'm like, which one was it?
There was definitely like a line translated in volume 20 where Kiki implied that she got these earrings from her family, where I was like, that's not true. Unless she counts Hisame as part of her family, but...
Right, because she talks about how she leaves one of them at home.
Yeah. I honestly think we find this backstory out about her earrings later.
That's true. It might be in the 20-something volumes.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. And like, maybe she wanted to do something with the earrings very early on, because she does make Hisame like touch Kiki's earrings in that very first introduction chapter. But I can't know that for sure, right?
Yeah. Okay. we can talk more about their relationships in Shipping Corner. I think the point is Mitsuhide failed. And everybody made fun of him for it.
Yeah. Poor Mitsuhide.
Like they return, so they're all basically on like sabbatical, and like Kiki and Mitsuhide, I guess, went to see Kiki's dad, while Obi and Zen went to Lilias. So when they meet up again in Lilias, you know, Kiki's like, yeah, Mitsuhide rejected me, and both Obi and Zen are just like, are you a moron? Are you legit a moron? I know we always say you are, but like, are you actually? Like, you know? Obi's like, I'm not even going to talk to you. I am not talking to you until they come back. That's how bad it is.
That's how bad it is.
Bad.
Like, Obi's heart belongs to Shirayuki and also to Zen. But like, if Kiki proposed to him, he'd probably say yes. Because he's not a moron.
Yeah.
He knows Kiki would never do that, but like...
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, Obi would be like, yeah, girl, let's go.
They'd get all the way to the altar before Obi was like, okay, wait, no. Like, for real?
Are we doing this? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Wait. Oh my God, Mitsuhide. So what I'm trying to say is, okay, there was a character poll. It was all the way back in volume 11. So, you know, most of the things hadn't gone down for this character poll, but this was how many? It was top 10. So it was Shirayuki is number 1, which
she should be.
Good.
This is about her.
Yeah.
She is Snow White with the red hair.
Any man number 1. 2, Zen. Fair. 3, Obi.
Also fair.
4, Kiki. Extra fair.
You know, also fair. Yeah.
5, Ryu.
Confusing, but like, yeah, I understand it from like, this was volume 11, and also cute little kid characters are more popular, I think, in Japan than they are in America.
Yeah. 6, Mitsuhide. Mitsuhide came in 6. So, you know, notably, the main 4 came in the top 4 places, and then Mitsuhide came in 6, which honestly is still too high because he's above Izana, which is wrong.
Oh man,
wrong. Then Garrick, then Raj, then Haruka.
Okay, I don't think Haruka belongs there.
Haruka doesn't belong here.
I don't fully know who I would put.
Yeah, I was like, through only 11 volumes?
Yeah. I'm actually kind of surprised Izana got that high for volume 11 because, like, some of his best stuff comes, like...
yeah, during his coronation.
Well, yeah, during his coronation. But we did already do Lilias Arc 1, so I guess we got some good... Izana stuff there.
Good Izana stuff after his horrible introduction.
I'm kind of surprised Garrick is so popular.
I get that. You know,
she's cool.
She's a cool, aloof woman. Always appealing. Cool, smart, aloof woman. Yes.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised that Raj is lower than Garrick.
No. Mitsuhide deserves to be below Izana for sure.
Okay, you say that, and I also feel bad that Mitsuhide isn't with the rest of the main 5.
He deserves it. He deserves it. No.
I'm thinking about other characters who could have made it over, like Haruka.
Shirayuki's dad.
No. But maybe Kazuki.
Yeah, I was like, Kazuki's there. I don't like that either, though.
I don't love it, but, like, Haruka?
Rona.
That would be funny.
Sakura.
Sakura, I don't think had a name by 11.
True. He might not have.
Or, you know,
Mihaya.
I was gonna say Mihaya, but I didn't actually want to. I don't think Mihaya deserves to be there above Haruka.
Nope.
The
bird girl.
I was thinking of Togirl, I think is her name.
I don't know.
I've always liked her. I wish she had more screen time.
She's gonna come back in volume 35.
Right. I know Troa, that one girl who only appeared for 2 chapters, who knew Obi in the past. She's popular in the fandom.
Okay, yeah.
None of the Lilias characters made it, which it is fair.
Oh.
Over these guys?
I don't know. I would put... No, I don't feel strongly.
I'm like, who are you going to say? Who are you going to say from Lilias over these guys? It would be so telling, whatever you said.
Do you want me to? My ranking was going to be Shiden, Yuzuru, Susan.
Wow. Shiden is such like a nothing character to me.
I love him because he's a bozo.
You are picking all the strangest people.
What? Izana is perfect.
Oh, we didn't say an obvious one. Hisame.
Oh, you only knew him for like 5 seconds.
That's true. And you didn't know him at his best by volume 11.
Like volume 11, you only know him as a twat 13-year-old.
Okay, here's one justification for like Kazuki or somebody over Haruka, and that's like this he's pretty. Haruka's not pretty.
No.
I feel like the types of people who like characters like Haruka are not necessarily looking for them in Snow White with the red hair, you know?
I guess. Is your top 5 legit the main 5? Like, would you just rank them like that? Because obviously I would not.
Obviously you would not. I don't know. I mean, my top 3 is the 3.
Obi, Zen, Yuki.
Yeah. Not necessarily in that order.
Obi, Yuki, Zen.
Yeah. Look, I love them all very dearly, but yeah. It's a good question, and I may need to come back to it.
You like Mitsuhide more than Hisame?
Yes. No. Because
no.
I think this comes down to a difference in temperament and characters that we like between us. But I think that just because Mitsuhide is pretty clumsy with people's emotions and is more the butt of jokes than a cool, competent person that you like more. I still want him. I think that these volumes show how much room for growth Mitsuhide has, and I really do want to see him grow in an interesting direction, right? Like, characters like Mitsuhide often don't have room to grow.
Yes, I do think that now he has to think long and hard about things.
Yes, he sure does.
Speaking of that, he was proposed a question by Count Seiran, which kind of confuses me.
It was a confusing question. Which I think is why he had to ask like 5 other people what it meant. Because it was a confusing question.
So the question for the listeners is, do your feelings that you have make up all that you are, or do they reside deep in your core? Which makes you stronger? And I was like, bro, what are you trying to get at?
Yeah, I think it was meant to be, it was a question that Count Seiran tailored towards Mitsuhide to try to make him think.
It just confused him.
Yeah, but like, it did just confuse him. And addressed to anybody else, it's like, what? Like, because Mitsuhide asks Hisame, who I think had the answer that I most identified with, which is like, what's the difference?
Okay, really? Yeah, you agree with Hisame's assessment.
It's what I asked myself when I read how the question was translated here.
Yeah.
I think that it's not, like, Hisame's answer is not what Count Seiran was getting at.
I think Mitsuhide has the instinct to know that. Yeah.
Mitsuhide did. I don't know why, after all these years, I still can't pronounce Mitsuhide's name right the first time I say it ever.
I'm always, I slip up every 5th time too. I'm like, Mitsuhide? Mitsuhidu? What am I doing? What's going on?
Lewin.
Oh, that's Izana now.
Llewellyn. No, I think it's about, are your core beliefs who you are, or are they something deep inside of you that you can choose to hide or let out or whatever? And does having those core key beliefs power you from the inside, make you stronger? Like, if you have something tender to protect inside of you, does that make you stronger? Which I think is where Mitsuhide lands. But that's not normally how those sorts of stories go, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we have been taught, particularly in our, be yourself, be your best self, America ways, to be honest with your feelings, live strongly by your values, loudly by your values.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. What Mitsuhide lands on is he's a protector, right? Protecting people makes him strong in his mind. And I don't think he's totally wrong, but having feelings that he keeps protected inside himself gives him something always to protect also, which makes him stronger. And that's not normally... That's normally, considered a weakness. Oh, you're denying yourself. You're fighting yourself. So I think that will be an interesting, if it's actually addressed. I don't know that.
It was weird.
Yeah. Well, it was weird in this. I don't think it was resolved yet. I think that is Mitsuhide's sort of quest, going forward. And he's not the main character of the next arc, so we're not seeing that resolution anytime soon.
No, we're only on trial 2 of 40 from Izana.
No, we're on trial 3, aren't we?
Well, next arc we're going to be on trial 3.
Okay. Yeah. So Mitsuhide has like an answer for now, but I don't think it's where he's gonna land eventually. But I don't know where he's gonna land because I don't often see the story taken in this direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's still a little confusing. I guess because I'm like, maybe I'm being too American about it, as you said, where I'm like, I feel like it's kind of the problem that you have when you choose a career, which is essentially, kind of what Mitsuhide is doing here, where people are like, well, do you do something, kind of because you are good at it or because you love, like, kind of like that dichotomy is more what I thought kind of we were like going for. But I can see what you mean. It's just a very poorly worded series of questions. Yeah, I guess I interpreted it as like, and it might effectively end up being the same thing, but it's like, does Mitsuhide just think this is what he's supposed to do because like other people told him to do it? Like Izana assigned it to him or whatever, but now he has it, like, or does it come from like this deep soul thing that he's had? I don't know. It's a weird question.
I don't think it's clear.
Yeah.
And I think Mitsuhide is actually the main character. I was about to say the main character we know least about, but that's Obi.
True.
But like, I feel like it's different with Obi. We never go back further, or not yet anyway. We haven't gone back further in Mitsuhide's backstory than meeting Zen.
Right.
We know very little about his family. Like, we've seen Kiki's dad, obviously. I was about to say she might be the only dad we've ever met, but actually we met Shirayuki's dad. He's such a non-character.
Sure did meet Shirayuki's dad.
We sure did. Yeah. So like, we don't really... I think Mitsuhide doesn't know who he is without Zen, and we don't know who Mitsuhide is without Zen either.
Yeah. I actually really liked the moment where, I guess, Zen and Mitsuhide are initially talking about, like, Zen takes Mitsuhide aside after hearing that he rejected Kiki and is like, explain yourself, right? But he had already talked to Kiki, and Kiki was like, hey, you need to protect Mitsuhide or whatever. And he's like, he's trying to suss out what that means. And so it becomes, again, like the conversation with Mitsuhide becomes not about Kiki. It becomes about Mitsuhide feeling so distraught that he couldn't protect Zen at Sereg. And Zen initially is like, well, then it's, and I guess like Mitsuhide is saying, like, I rejected her because my one true thing in life is to protect you, Zen, and I almost failed at it, so I'm like really torn up inside. And Zen is like, well, then back to Sereg with you. Yeah. Because my life isn't just to be protected by you.
Yeah, I really liked that reversal.
Yeah.
It was really good. I also liked when Zen headbutted him in the gut.
You were like, he deserved it.
He deserved it. I love when Zen just like gets so frustrated. He just like...
Yes. And then he's like, quit crying. Stop apologizing.
He does accept, he does like, when Mitsuhide's like, no, I'm really sorry. He's like, okay, fine.
Okay, fine. But now STFU.
No.
You're an idiot.
Now you have to go sleep with Obi.
Oh, yeah. The remedy was like, you have to... He didn't actually send him to Sereg. He was like, okay, you have night terrors about like losing me and you're so torn up. Now you have to sleep with Obi. Have fun.
Oh man.
Oh, my children, you're so good. I love
They're
you.
so good.
I love you.
They're great. No.
Yes.
And Obi's a genuinely good like roommate. Zen knows. Obi's constantly sleeping in his room. Obi's a good dude too. Mitsuhide was like, man, at some point earlier than all this, he was like, man, I wish Obi were here so I could talk about this with him.
Yeah.
he would, you know, talk about it as a pal to me. It's really great to see these people like making these different kinds of relationships with one another that are all supportive.
Yes, they are a heartwarming bunch of children. So I guess we should mention that they're supposed to start looking older here. This is like brief art corner real fast. They're supposed to start looking older here. And I think it's very funny because they do a 1 year time skip and they like dramatically show Shirayuki. And I'm like, yeah, she looked the same. But then like, I don't know, like a volume or two later, I'm like, okay, she's starting to look like a woman, you know, like
yeah. And older. I think it's less, to me, it comes off as less of a stylistic choice to make them look older and more like overall the art is changing. Like eyes are smaller, hands are more detailed, clothing is more detailed. I feel like technically a lot of improvements have been made. And I'm also like, I feel that we're losing some of the pretty expressiveness of eyes in like the earlier half of the teens. Like that's the sweet spot for the art for me.
Yeah, if we get to shipping corner, you can just go off about your your favorite volume.
I don't have it with me.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm kind of like, ooh, these arguments kind of remind me of the debate. The debate I have about original Watase art versus newer Watase art. But I actually really like newer Watase art over the old 90s one. So maybe I'm not the best judge of this. I do think that there's becoming a level of like, okay, this is just like too ornate to a degree that's like, why?
Yeah. Like that doesn't bother me. I like looking at all the little like fiddly gold bits on their clothes and stuff. That's fair. That's fair.
That's what happened to Watase.
Yeah. These are monthly releases.
Oh, that's true. No, I think that was true of Watase too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll find out that actually she's.
I mean, until
two
the
people.
Rata. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I do think there's a massive improvement from the beginning art of.
Oh, yeah.
I just think there was like a sweet spot for me, like what I like, you know, what I find particularly beautiful in Shojo art that I feel is less pronounced from like. I think it's still here in 16. Maybe it's starting to go away.
You're like, you can see the light fading. As the brothers and everybody would like to say.
Yeah, the Bergat brothers.
The Bergat brothers. They looked at the Wisterias that one time and were like, oh my god, they glow.
Oh, they're so pretty. Queen Haruto's so pretty.
Haruto's so pretty.
Izana's so pretty. Zen wasn't even there.
No, Zen wasn't. But then they see Zen this time and they're like, no, he has it too. He has it too.
Yes. He impresses them very much by being able to tell them apart. Did we mention that they're identical twins?
I think I did.
Okay.
I could tell them apart this time too. Yay me!
Yeah. I actually feel like the first time Zen talks to them, they are reversed. I think, I don't know.
Oh.
That's just the sense I got. But
purposefully so?
I don't know.
They were trying to mess with him?
I don't think they were trying to mess with him. I think they just do that. I don't know.
Okay.
But I was just like, these expressions I'm used to more associating with Tariga and Tsuruba. I don't think there's
she
any,
hadn't like concretely nailed it down yet.
That might be it too. I also feel like, the events of the Sereg arc changed them. So it could just be that.
Oh yeah, they're messed up.
Tsuruba didn't have the weight of the Bergat house weighing him down the way he does after these chapters.
Yeah, we will see them again.
We will see them again.
But yeah, the through line connecting like the Lilias light flower rocks to Sereg is like this search for light, both as a metaphor and literal. Yay!
Yay!
Okay, we got to do shipping corner.
Okay.
I actually think not all of this will take so long because some of them are very silly, but here are all the possible ships I could think of, which was, so Zen and Kiki was used as a joke, but also a political move.
Right.
In this arc where, when Zen, I guess a little before, there's like an impetus for why Zen is like, no, I just want Shirayuki to move the palace. Screw all this politicking, is that Izana and Haruka come to him and are like, you must start entertaining suitors. And Zen is like, ew. No. And Haruka's like, you can either choose to have a banquet or you must meet with at least one person on this list. This list was approved by Prince Izana. And Zen was like looking at the list and he's like, you said this list was approved by Izana. This list was approved by my brother. And Haruka's like, yes. But on the list is Kiki. So he just chooses to have a private meeting with Kiki that is unknown to like nobody. Everybody knows that he's meeting with somebody. They don't know who it is. So they keep that part a secret. And in that meeting, Kiki's like, I intend to propose to Mitsuhide. And Zen is like, oh, he has no idea. He has no idea.
And it does take him a full 5 volumes after that.
Oh my god, more than that.
Figure it out.
8, fully 7. Yeah.
Oh man,
terrible. Yeah, Zen and Kiki is not.
They actually had another moment later on where, after the Sereg arc, essentially, actually after I think Mitsuhide turns her down. Yeah, that's when they were talking about it, where Kiki was like, I was wondering, when we first met, if we would end up married.
Yeah.
And Zen was like,
Zen was like, I literally never thought of you that way, girl. Did you think of me that way?
It was great.
There are no romantic vibes here.
0. None. And I love that for both of them.
Yeah. I think that the first time I read these volumes, I was like, you know what, Shirayuki and Kiki, I ship it. But rereading them, I was like, no. Forget about Obiyuki or whatever. My secondary ship is Shirayuki and Kiki.
Really? Really? All right. I'm down.
Turned down for what?
Listeners, just so you know, the most notes that Ashley wrote down for Shipping Corner are under Shirayuki and Kiki.
I ship it. Okay. So we get a lot of silly moments that lead up to this. So I guess at Izana's coronation ceremony, Kiki, Mitsuhide, and Obi are all wearing their black military garb. And they all look very good in it, I should say. But Kiki's killing it, right? Kiki is the hottest.
Is killing it. She always is.
She always is. So, Shirayuki, meets up with the crew. No, I think she was probably already with Obi or whatever, hanging out with other people. So, but they all meet up. And so Kiki compliments Shirayuki's outfit, oh, your dress is so pretty or whatever. And Shirayuki's like, I love your outfit too, and blushes. And then Obi and Mitsuhide are like, we're wearing the same thing? No, you're not doing it as well. There's a moment where Kiki is talking to Hisame. I think maybe also at the coronation, some other party. All the parties were.
No, I think it was the coronation.
Okay, not the Sorare.
In this case.
Okay. Okay.
Think so.
One of those two. So Kiki, is talking to Hisame, and she's like trying to reject him, basically. And she's like, well, you always have a line of ladies eager to pair up with you. And he's like, as do you. Even he knows.
Why wouldn't he know?
Oh, I love that he said that. He's so good. Oh my god. And then there's this very like throwaway moment between Obi and Zen, actually, where they're going and they're talking about the soiree, and Obi is, joking about going with Princess Kiki or whatever. He's like, can Kiki be my date? And Zen is like, no, Mitsuhide is your date. And Obi's like, great, that means that Shirayuki and Kiki can go.
Obi ships everything.
Obi's like, it's all good. All good stuff. Anyway, I love it. I love the joke. I know it will never be real. I'm fine. That's fine. I think it's a very good joke.
The fandom is there for you, babe. Just so you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Shirayuki with Zen too. That's fine.
Oh yeah.
I think I probably even like Kiki with Hisame. Like, that's also fine.
Hisame is also quite pretty.
I just love his troll way of making this happen. What a troll.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Garrick and Sheetan and whatever that happened between them?
I like them better as not a ship, but like what could have happened, right? Like I like the fact that
you like wondering.
Yeah. I like the wondering. I like the clearly something was there that they maybe acted on it once briefly, right? Like, sometimes that happens. Especially with someone like Garrick, who like will do wild things sometimes, but most of the time is controlled, right?
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they're both very much like, no, I'm here, you're there. We are never, ever getting back together. I like that for both of them.
Okay. I have no strong feelings, so that's fair. You said earlier that you don't like Suzu and Yuzuri as a possible ship. Are we trying to go there?
I don't know if we're trying to go. I think the fact that, like this is a story and they're introduced at the same time, they're around the same age, it's a boy and a girl.
Yeah. I really don't get any like romantic vibes off of them though.
Right, except for like Suzu hitting on anything that moves.
Yeah,
and
but
is female.
He's just annoying like that.
Yeah. So I won't be surprised, right? Like if they end up together, because they're like constantly thrown back into each other's orbits.
Yeah, Yuzuri just wasn't there at the beginning of the Lilias round 2 arc for
she wasn't. She was off collecting plants, as is her job. But yeah, I like them better as friends. I like them better as like tolerating each other's weirdness.
You love the manic pixie dream girl vibes.
Yeah. Like Yuzuri is also one of those where I'm like, Shirayuki likes pretty girls.
Okay.
She and Yuzuri are sweet together, and I think they have more chemistry than Suzu and Yuzuri.
Possibly.
I think Suzu doesn't deserve Yuzuri. Yeah, that's where I land on that.
Okay. Yeah, I really wish we got stronger, not like romantic, but just vibes off of either of them, really, having been able to spend more time with them, I wish they were like more. Anyway.
Oh, we spent a lot of time with Suzu.
I know, but like he's not more than what he was before.
No, he's not.
Yeah. That's why it's annoying.
I see.
He has like a shtick, right? And I'm like, can he have more than that? No. He
has a shtick, and he's an herbalist. Like he's good at his job, and that's really, yeah. I mean, how many people in the world do we actually know deeply?
I mean, yeah. Half the time I'm like, I don't even know Asher. I don't understand that guy. I understand what makes that guy do anything.
I don't understand me either.
Okay. You understand me pretty good.
Well, you're more straightforward than most people.
Thanks. I'm a simpleton.
That's not what I said.
What does Zen call Mitsuhide?
Oh, he called him, I think, a simple fool.
Yes.
And Mitsuhide was like, no, people call me an idiot, but no one's ever called me a simple fool. Yeah.
You're calling me a simple fool?
No.
Okay. Izana and Haki. I think
I like it.
We have more to say about this later, presumably, but like,
yeah. We haven't seen that much of them together. I know they have like some conversation in the next few volumes that shines a little more light on how they interact, really.
Yeah.
But we don't know that much about them, and
they feel like they deserve each other. They deserve each other.
Yeah. It's like you can tell that something is going on between them, and we're not really privy to it. And that's okay. It's enough to know that there's something there.
Yeah. I just want Izana to be happy.
Exactly. I want Izana to have someone who is like kind of the same kind of troll he is and expresses it differently.
Yeah.
in ways that he can't always counter.
Yeah. So are we sad that Kiki and Mitsuhide are not a thing? No, you're excited.
Yeah.
But it was fun. The execution was fumbled.
I don't even... Mitsuhide fumbled the execution. I don't know that Akizuki did.
Okay. You're like, no, it's very believable, this Mitsuhide.
Yeah, it's very believably messy, right? Like,
yes.
I think that makes it interesting and fresh in ways that I don't often see in this particular kind of dynamic between, destined partners, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they're still friends, and I'm glad that Kiki was like, no, it is actually enough for me that like Mitsuhide was honest, and also honestly was like, you are the best partner anyone could ever have in the work that is my life, right?
It's my everything.
Yeah. It's okay that we want different that we want different things, and I can be an adult and like accept that.
Yeah. I feel like I'm sad for Kiki because Kiki wanted it.
Yeah.
But as established, I'm like not Mitsuhide's fan. So I'm like, you can do better. Is better Hisame? I don't know. We haven't been shown that yet, but I do think in the volumes, the 20s,
yeah,
it starts coming in hot.
It does start coming in hot. Akizuki goes out of her way to like justify this being cool and interesting, and honestly, I think she's
pulling it off.
She's landing it.
Yeah. I'm like, dang.
It's still, tough on the people that were like, no, Kiki and Mitsuhide, and like it's still kind of a hard sell if you really hated like Hisame's introduction. But like the dynamic is fascinating, right? Like these two people are weird in very different ways.
Yes. Exactly.
I think they bring things out in each other that are so fun.
I'm really a big sucker for like wearing down somebody with your love, like Kiki's clearly like, oh, I really never thought of you like this. I actually really disliked you. But then he starts doing stuff that she's like, oh, this gets to me. And I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I don't even know that Kiki ever actually like really disliked him.
Yeah, she was just like, eh.
Yeah, she was like, I don't approve of this behavior in your introduction. Stop that. But then she was like, yes, challenge me at another date.
Yeah.
And then after that, she's always perfectly pleasant to him.
I feel like initially she's a little bit cold, but then
maybe
she starts to become like, yeah, whatever. Mitsuhide still treats you like utter trash, but like I just say hi to you like a normal person.
Yeah, I'm not remembering too well anything between like his introductory chapters and like him being helpful. So
him being helpful at Sereg. No, I think at the soiree and stuff, she was still a little like Hisame.
Maybe, yeah.
So you want to talk about your OT3?
I love my OT3.
Okay.
I feel like there's not actually that much to say about like my favorite.
Do you want to talk about how many times you've reread volume? Is it 13?
It's 13. I think I've reread 14 a couple times too. I don't know how many times I've reread that particular chapter. But no, this set of 10 was very good for the Obi Zen Yuki, not just for the whole Obi figures out what he's going to do with his life chapter or two in volume 13, where Zen asks him, like, do you like me? And Obi says yes. And then Zen's like, do you like Shirayuki? And Obi's like, yes. I also like my lady. And then like gets to be like the trust that Zen puts in Obi to take care of her in the ways that Zen would like to. The trust that Zen puts in Obi to like not steal her away either, or try to, not because Shirayuki's not an object to be stolen, as we have learned from the first 10 volumes.
Yeah. I was like, that was the whole plot.
Right. Like, you know, it gets me. I'm a big sucker for fealty and loyalty in general, and I love it in this particular group of people. Like, it's not even like the structure, it's like it works because it's them, right? They love one another because it's them, and I love them because they're them as also. Yeah, so like Obi accepts like having a home. Like, you can a through line through all 10 of these volumes is Obi being like, oh, I belong to these people. Should I run away? No. And then like his whole thing. That's his whole growth from here, is learning how to be a person that lives with the consequences of belonging, and also the love and joy of that. I love that Zen can rely on Obi. I love that Zen can trust Shirayuki to be away for 2 years and still love and support him. And I love that Shirayuki knows the same thing about Zen, and that she's working so hard to become the kind of herbalist and to make the kind of connections, and not in a like scheming political way, because that's not who she is, but to form these real deep bonds of working together and gratitude, and they're not transactional. They can sometimes start that way, like, you teach me this and we'll do this for you, but like, no, she's genuinely just, I want to help people. I think what you're doing is cool and I appreciate it, and I will help you with it. And then people are just inspired to do the same for her, and to believe in the kingdom, and to believe in Zen, and thus, you know, the power of this kingdom working together. I just love them, Your Honor.
Yeah. I do have to say that I really liked the scene between Obi and Shirayuki after the Sereg arc. Like, you know, Obi returns to Lilias and is like, I'm back. And this is the one that you mentioned initially that I was like, no, not that one. He returns and he's like, you know, Shirayuki's like, oh, but you guys all got hurt. And he's like, no, I'm okay. And like picks her up and spins her around. And then he's like, no, that did really hurt, you know, like. And then she's like, ah. He's like, but I'm mostly good, right? But then, like, when they're back together with Zen, I guess at the palace or whatever, before they go back to Lilias, Obi and her have another moment where he's like, okay, I want to, like, talk about how I'm back. Like, I messed it up the first time, right? Like, the way that Mitsuhide is like, I messed up my first rejection.
So like what happened is that Shirayuki told Obi, as soon as she saw him right after the Sereg arc, welcome back. She said Okaeri.
Yeah.
You know? But he didn't say Tadaima.
Yeah.
Because that's not something he's ever said before, is the implication. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, I should have, when he's like having lunch with Mitsuhide and Kiki or something.
Yeah.
So then he gets that chance. He tries to give her back the Wonder Rock that he thought she was just lending him. And she's like, no, this is yours now.
Yeah. Because the way that Akizuki tried to keep Shirayuki relevant in the Sereg arc was that Obi had this glowing rock, which he actually did use in one of the fights to like deflect the attention of one of the would-be assassins.
Right. Yeah, no. Shirayuki was like, you can use this to read something in the dark.
Yeah.
Obi,
I can use it to murder people.
You didn't murder anybody with it. They captured that guy.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when he was like talking about his dark assassin past. Like, oh, he's
Yeah.
not going to crack. He's not going to give us nothing.
Yeah, he'll just leave.
Yeah.
No, I think my favorite part of that second scene where he gets to say Tadaima because Shirayuki is his home. Oh no, heart. Is when I first read it as a yo ho ho pirate. The translation when she gives the rock back to him was bend over, Obi. It's like, oh, okay, all right. In this one, she just said like lean down so that she could
bend over, Obi.
right.
Horrible.
I've had to share that with all our friends.
Oh my god, terrible. 0 out of 10.
You laugh.
I laugh. It's yeah, because it's out of character. But yeah, I liked that because he was like, oh, I've never cared about whether I like lived or died, and now I do. I also do love that when Mitsuhide and Zen are talking about Mitsuhide having rejected Kiki, Obi is with Kiki. And it's been seeded that they had been joking about Obi receiving proposals and stuff before. And they were like, oh God, no. And so, I think Kiki's like talking about like, is there anybody that he likes? And he's like, oh, my heart lies with my lady. And she just like gives him one of those pointed Kiki stares. And she's like, I didn't think you'd come right out and say that, bruh.
It's like, they all know. Well, maybe Mitsuhide.
Mitsuhide does not know. He's stupid.
Kiki and Zen
know.
Kiki and Zen know. Zen did straight up ask.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of people know that Obi likes Shirayuki.
Do you think
Princess Rona knows that?
That's true. Aww. Obi and Shirayuki have a lot of good moments together, but I'm like, no, it works better as they can never be together, though.
I would never want them together without Zen.
No, I don't want that. No, I don't want that.
I know. Look. I love my triangle.
Yes,
it's the strongest shape.
You love your strongest shape. Yes. I'm saying I like Obi and Shi. I'm like, I can get down with it, but it can never, like, they both like each other, right? But they know they can't do anything. That's great.
But the reason they know they can't do anything is because they both love Zen.
Okay. And that's fine.
Okay.
Also, you interpret that conversation with Zen as like him asking about romantic feelings?
I think the vagueness actually makes it good. I don't want to come down one way or the other on it because I don't think it matters.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I don't think that Zen would ask if Shirayuki or if Obi liked him in a romantic way.
I think he might. But I also think that, I think that Obi is not straight. I don't know that anybody in the kingdom of Clariness is straight, except for Kiki. You can tell because her taste is terrible.
Oh my God, you're right. Wow, you said that, not me.
I'm not wrong.
Just came for all the straights in the universe.
All the straight women, anyway.
You're like, no, straight dudes know the good ladies.
Sometimes, not all of them, but like straight ladies. What are you doing?
Asher says you deserve better, straight lady. Oh my god. You can tell
the reason I think that Zen might actually ask Obi for clarification about whether or not his feelings are maybe romantic is because Obi says so many things like, Master, your beautiful eyes are so beautiful.
He's really just trying to teach Zen to say nice things to Shirayuki.
It's not working.
It's not working. He's so bad at it. It's amazing that we still think he's cute. Oh, you know why? Because he does corny stuff, like when he got drunk at the soiree. And then he was like, do you want to take a shortcut? And Shirayuki's like, okay. And then they slide down the banister. I was like, corny.
Oh, that's very cute. It's so cute.
It's so cute, but it's corny as hell.
Yeah. And he's very pretty. No, I think that Obi's feelings... I do think that Obi likes Shirayuki more than he likes Zen. Or his feelings are more romantic towards Shirayuki than his feelings towards Zen are. But his love for them is equally deep.
I can agree with that.
Okay.
Okay, we did it. We solved it. 2.5 hours in. We're going to go to bed now.
Awesome. Love that.
Awesome. Love that for us. Thanks for listening to Shojo and Tell. Comments, questions, constructive criticism, concerns. Need to gush about your favorite relationship in the series? Email shoujoandtell@gmail.com or leave a comment on the episode's YouTube page. We're at Shojo and Tell on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Tumblr. This is like saying Mitsuhide. Mitsuhide.
Mitsuhide. I did it.
Mitsuhide.
First time. Oh, man.
Tumblr. Okay. You cannot find my husband on the internet.
Nice.
He is mine. Are you excited every time you see a new episode from us? If so, please consider leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts or liking the show on Spotify or skeeting about it. This will help the podcast reach more hearts, or at least ears. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back next time for Mermaid Scales in the Town of Sand. Yeah, sorry, we're gonna have to wait for more Snow White to come out before we tackle it again. There's 26 volumes out right now. No end in sight. We're only on trial 3 of 40 from Izana. I presume
check back in a decade.
Check back in a decade. I'm like, if we get to 30 volumes in the next 2 years, like, all right, we'll hit it again, you know. But otherwise, cool. We will be doing another giveaway with Manga Mart for the Mermaid Scales episode, so watch out on the Blue Sky and the Instagram for that. And as always, check out their online store if you want some good prices for the mangas, okay? Because we live in the hard times. And we can't be supporting the evil billionaires anymore. So stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, bye.
Bye.
Hey, we've got one too, on your back. You know, a plum. I can see it.
I do, really? Are you sure?
Yeah, it's only a little one though.